Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we're going to be checking out 3 tracks from an act named Big Sexy. The first of these titled Samantha's song if I'm not mistaken. If we switch over to here we have ourselves the album on the screen here. We're going to be listening to Samantha's song as well as Garden Street Bungalow and Make Me Satisfied. We're going to listen to each of these tracks from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. Interesting panning of that organ on the left.
Some people say that God will toss us curveballs. Honey, it looks like he threw me a spitball or two. 'Cause for the last 3 years I was swinging in the darkness till your sweet touch came along to guide me through. 'Cause you're mine, so fine and kind to be, so kind in line, in stride. I need you at my side, Samantha. I need your sweet love all the time, Samantha.
The harmonies are beautiful and I like how the guitar led into it, with the saxophone as well.
Well, I know you cannot promise me redemption, for your saving touch may not be enough for my soul. We are both the victims of abandonment. We won't abandon the good times that we both know. 'Cause you're mine, so fine and kind to be, so kind in line, in stride. I need you at my side, Samantha. I need your sweet love all the time, Samantha.
Great work on those upper harmonies in the second half. I mean, I think we had that in the first chorus, but still they're good.
As clear as day and night, we can find ourselves in the darkness and lose ourselves in the light. Slip the back door open to let me in. For if I were to live my next life without you, that of course.
Just that parallel minor there is just a fun idea. I mean, it's just such a lovingly composed track.
I need you at my side, Samantha. I need your sweet love all the time, Samantha.
great work transitioning the rim shots here for that come down to the bell curve. So I think that we're off to a good start with Samantha's song. I think this one got an overall score of 7 out of 10, which is great. I appreciate sort of various components of this. What I think the track is about first, though, I think the song is about someone just basically illustrating how much they need this person, Samantha, how much they need them in their life, that connection, that affection they have towards them, that devotion, I suppose, that they have to them, amongst other things. We talk about abandonment at some point, though. We won't abandon the good times. And it's an interesting sort of like, it's not just that we feel these things for this person, we're also trying to understand their position and how we sort of, equivocate and provide a sense, I suppose, or find a sense of equilibrium within the relationship and our own sort of like things. But in terms of things I appreciate about this track, I think I really enjoyed the flurry of different lead elements here, not just the vocals, but also the different guitar solos and the saxophone as well. They're very sort of floral and flagrant, and add a great sort of resonance and shimmer and shine in the mid to upper registers there. There was a real sense of romanticism about it. I enjoyed, I just enjoyed the flavor of it. There's a lot of like love songs. There's that saxophone there, but the legato patterns and movements and little bits of, and just could see there, it also sounded beautiful. There's a real sense of warmth from not only the tone of the instruments, but also just the melodies that they were playing and how they interlaced with everything else. I think another thing I appreciate about Samantha's song is the use of rhythm within the various sort of drum parts and other components within it. We were very comfortable across the main 4th quarters, 8ths, triplets, and 16ths. And we were also very good at sort of using ghost notes and dynamic range, as well as maybe even occasional 30 seconds and sort of messing around with stuff like that in a way that was very compelling and satisfying to listen to. It felt like a very mature and well-considered piece. I think it was also, as a final thing, the way that the vocals worked over the sort of verse and then the chorus parts. It's like a smaller thing in the sense that I liked it, but it's like just more sort of a fondness, a sense of just sort of like fundamental. You add a second layer on the upper end over top of that second half of the chorus, and it just adds a shimmer and a shine to it. We already had all these different cool ideas happening within the track instrumentally. To be able to then put the vocals on top there and do sort of more with that in a way that's very sort of satisfying is just really cool. So I'm really happy with what I've heard from this track, and I look forward to the next one. So this next track is titled Garden Street Bungalow, track number 2 for today. Released January 17th, 2025.
Jimmy J told the band it was all going down. He got us a gig about a mile out of town. Mr. Tommy's on the strings playing with the Haji boys, and it's me on the sticks just making some noise. Going to put on
Very used to glissando there.
Put on a show. We're going to play some rock and roll. Jenny left me, I will never know. Everything was sweet.
Very used to chromaticism with those vocal melodies, very bluesy.
At the Garden Street Bungalow. Girls from the plant are such a pretty sight. They told me if we're good, they will stay out all night. I want the music jumping, keep them coming through the door. I want them fired up and begging for more. Going to put on a show, put on a show. We're going to play some rock and roll. Why Jenny left me, I will never know. Everything was sweeter, all the times were better at the Garden Street Bungalow.
Very used to extension with that chorus there. Interesting use of unison bends there.
Jenny took off with my heart in my sun. She blocked my phone and she's on the run. It wasn't my dream to move to a better place. I worked a lot of overtime to pay for all that space. Jimmy J was walking
We're using dominant seventh chords here to invoke a sense of sort of like curtness in the sort of like opening chords of these passages, because I like how we don't start on the root. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, we go to the root note, I think, on the second round of these. It kind of reverse resolves.
And I swear that before I tapped and counted to 4, the entire bar was up. They were jamming on the floor. Going to put on a show. Put on a show. We're going to play some rock and roll. Why Jenny
It could have been called a
I will never know. Everything was sweeter. All the time was better at the Garden Street Bungalow.
I like how the backing vocals and the centers come together, though. That's nice. I like that the saxophone is much further articulated here. I think it was smart to have that saxophone kind of lead it out there. I feel like we've gotten enough of the verses and choruses up until that point in order to understand the context of the track. So that's good. Because this is track number 2 for today, Garden Street Bungalow. What I think the song is about, I think that it is about someone who is going and doing gigs, and they're dealing with the stuff that's going on behind the scenes with the family and trying to balance the sort of roles and responsibilities there, or simply just trying to get access to that. But in the meantime, they're trying to get their own life together, get themselves to a point where they can sort of take care of themselves and do what they need to do as musicians and also as humans. And I just appreciate that we go on a journey there to the point where we do find ourselves sort of like getting everyone up in crowd and dancing, and it just kind of gives you a good feel to it, you know. So I feel like the only thing I'd say here before I get into it, we'll do the positives. So I think that the bluesy intonations here and the interesting use of chords there, just those, do make it like more of a sort of a honky tonk kind of rock and roll is, I don't know if that's a strong word, but there's a bit of rock and roll in, I suppose. It's a slower track where it's a bit more sort of like soothing in a weird sort of sense. It's like you can tell people are there to sort of dance and get down to it. It doesn't seem like it's trying to sort of get you up and dancing and super excite you at the same time. There is a sort of a mistiness to the piece there that I kind of appreciate, an ambience there that almost sort of like cements it and sort of matures it for better or worse, because I'm not entirely sure if that's the direction I'm absolutely going for. But again, I think the bluesy sort of choices for the scales and chord progressions and like the dominant seventh chords and stuff like that were smart choices stylistically. You know, you're going through your story, working yourself back up, picking up the pieces. I think the saxophone solo near the end was one of my favorite solos. I appreciate that it had its own time to shine. We didn't necessarily need to feel the need to kind of put that back into the track by putting another chorus on the end of it. We simply allowed that to play itself out and speak its own truth. And the reason that I think that is really effective and wonderful is because it's just so done. It's such a done thing to have a solo section. And I know you have like an arbitrary repetition of the chorus line, not with big sexy stuff, but just in a lot of music that I've heard. And I just feel like it takes gumption to just allow things to end on that part. Just allow it to not need more words than you've already put forward, especially if it's already been told, if the words are coming through clearly. Because I think the final thing for me is, alongside just a really wonderfully technically proficiently played saxophone solo that is just a wonderful new texture and lush sort of like layer to the piece, you also have the situation where the production in general is very sort of wholesome sounding. Things are quite well layered. The vocals are great in the mix. I'm not sure if those backing vocals in the final chorus were a little bit too sort of far panned for my tastes on the side, but that's okay. I think that the way things were EQ'd and filtered and sort of like the amount of life allowed by not over compressing is just really positive. So it does sound commercial grade to me. It's a very good start to the year for Big Sexy, and I look forward to hearing what they do next. And so finally, we have track number 3 for today, which is Make Me Satisfied from Big Sexy with Alex Goroshko. Get that art up on the screen there. Great combination of guitar, bass, keys, and drums.
The story is
I feel like you could have maybe had like a slight pause or something like that before you went into that section, just for a little bit more suspense before we moved into the new part. It was a slick transition, don't get me wrong, but it just felt like a little too smooth for my tastes, considering we were trying to traverse to a new point.
Satisfied. Eyes could be blind
Great use of hand drums though.
every night. You stole my heart, blew away my mind. Look what's inside, I can't hide.
Yeah, no, that was nice. It's a very soulful solo.
The story is old, why nobody told that time is like gold, we pay for memories,
Great call and response there.
and all that remains, the shadow of dress and taste of your lips I have never kissed. It's not so hard to make me satisfied. Eyes could be blind, we feel it every night.
It's a really, really solid hook. I think I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10, which seems remarkably high. It's actually probably closer to an 8. I should take that back. It's like, it'll be interesting to see what to do at the end, but just it's very, very positive. I just love the fact that we're not just bluntly, not that we do this all the time or whatever, but like in this situation, we've got these moments where there's a gap, and you might assume that there'd just be a moment of respite before you get more context. But these wonderful sort of soft lady vocals in the background, which are just a nice sort of accompanying texture that sort of float upwards. And there's just these wonderful chords that are going on as well. I think the feels of this are good. That's an 8 for feels.
Your lips, and all I've never eyes could be blind, we feel it every night. You stole my heart and blew away my mind.
I love the unison though. Those vocal harmonies are gorgeous, dude. Adjustments for the guitar parts.
Side, I can't hide.
Okay, back to guitar. That's cool. We've established that is the lead. It might have been cool to have a different pickup position if we haven't had that already. Great movement to the upper register there.
These days passing by, I can't even try. You're just like a star that warms me with a smile. It brings me delight.
I love how the active the bass is as well. You just hear that tone so thick and full of life.
Pride,
I like the production in it.
and I would risk all to be at your side. It's not so hard
Yeah,
to make me satisfied.
it's tough. Like, if they just found the, to me, I don't know. I understand they're trying to sort of take the listener by surprise by having the transfer on like that third bar or something. It'd be an 8 out of 10, I think, structurally, if we were to try and sort of like find a less kind of like sudden way of doing it, like on one of them.
Feel it every night.
No, this is a wonderful track. I'm really satisfied with this one. So this was really, really good. There were several things I really appreciate about this track. It's got a 7.8 out of 10, which may not seem like a massive improvement over previous songs. It's just here, like with the previous tracks, they were very good. I would consider this song to be a great one. So it's closer to an 8, I suppose, than a 7 or a 7.5. But what do I think this track is about? Made me satisfied. I think it's about someone who has sort of been sort of led astray or betrayed or kind of had a disagreement or a kerfuffle with someone that they're in love with, and they're trying to find a way to become satisfied with it. They're trying to find a way to cope with the situation, to deal with it in a way which I feel like a lot of people that are listening to this will be able to sort of relate to in their own relationships, whether their current one or a past one or something like that, or hell, maybe even a future one they're worried about. But either way, it's effectively just about people sort of like trying to find some semblance of sense and sort of like the silver lining, I suppose, in certain parts. But I think it's also this, when you actually leave the person and you're coming to terms with that and you just don't know what to do with that emptiness. It's an interesting track. I think that in terms of things I really appreciated about this, one of them was the combination of Gary's vocals, the singer, but also the backing lady parts there. I loved the different movements they had on the sides of the stereo field. I thought they were a great contrast texturally and just it was gorgeous. It had a wonderful shimmer and sheen to it. Very, very easy to listen to. And especially with a lot of the other sort of accompanying instruments, just tonally, they seem to make sense together. And it was just very smart. The second thing I appreciated, I suppose, was the actual motif itself. There was an inherent catchiness, not only to the vocal parts, melodies, and harmonies that they were performing, but it was also just the use of those extensions and the classiness, sophistication, the emotional complexity that they were portraying there. It was exotic and tender, and it was gentle in certain parts there. Even the guitar parts there was a sense of sort of lingering romanticism there, like a lust for what no longer occurs or is there anymore. And I just think it was really pleasant to hear that through. I thought that was well done. And I just think that the chord choices across the different drum kit and hand drum parts, the bass, the different guitar parts, the keys as well, kind of clinging on there, and the vocals on top and all else, just all these different elements niched and amalgamated in a way that was very satisfying, reinforcing the key extended triads, so the chords within the progression, whilst also solidifying the bass line and rhythm underneath in a way that allowed for a chord note pattern with different 16th notes underneath. It was just very interesting and quite satisfying. But I think it was also just finally how well they used that 4 minutes 55, because this is a long song. But what I think they did so well is that they had different verses and different lead sections, and they took a slower tempo, I suppose, to an extent, but it wasn't that slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. They just expanded and allowed there to be parts without the vocals. They allowed other instruments to have their time in the sun and to breathe, etc. There was never a dull moment. There was no filler within it. There was deliberate attempt with each sort of like second that passes, and you come out of it feeling like you heard a very intimate conversation, but one where you enjoyed listening to it. I think out of the three, this would probably be my favorite, but I mean, those are my 3 tracks for today, I suppose. Samantha's song, Garden, Street Bungalow, the most recent one, as I understand it, I could be wrong, or it could be or make me satisfied. I've given my thoughts on each of these 3 tracks. I don't really think there's anything we could have done to sort of improve them. I feel like they're very competent across the board with the vocals, the instrumental performances, the actual production, the structural, and everything like that. It's clear at this point in time that Big Six and everyone involved know what they're doing in regards to both the fundamentals of music theory and composition, performance, and production, but they also expand upon that. There were lots of interesting parallel majors and minors in these songs there. With the middle song there, Garden Street, we had the bluesy intonations there, which sounded very authentic for the genre, and Make Me Satisfied had this sense of like harmonic and melodic minor within the motif that sort of made you feel like it was like a forbidden love or something like that. It was just these really cool ideas that were put forward musically in a way that translated well alongside the vocals and lyrics, which were heard well in part because of how they were produced. Overall, I think this was a very positive review of these 3 tracks from Big Sexy, and hopefully you enjoyed it, though. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and Spotify page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than ever. Thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.